My name is Daniel. I am here to tell you all about a life that went by faster than I ever thought it would. I stand before you as an old man, but I was not born with these wrinkles or this trembling voice. I was once a boy who believed he would live forever. I ran through open fields with scraped knees and loud laughter. I thought my parents would never grow old. I thought the people I loved would always be within reach. I was wrong. I grew up in a small town where everybody knew your name and your mistakes. My father was a quiet man. He worked with his hands and spoke with his actions. My mother sang while she cooked, even when there was barely enough food on the table. We didn't have much money, but we had warmth. We had long dinners filled with stories. We had hope. When I was 17, my father looked at me one evening and said, "Daniel, a man is not measured by how strong he is, but by how much he can endure without losing his heart." I didn't understand him then. I thought strength meant never crying. I thought endurance meant silence. Life taught me differently. At 19, I fell in love for the first time. Her name was Eliza. She had eyes that held more questions than answers, and a smile that made me forget every fear I had ever known. The first time she took my hand, I felt like the world had finally chosen me for something beautiful. We married young. Too young, some said, but when you feel certain, you don't listen to the warnings of people who don't feel what you feel. We rented a tiny apartment with peeling paint and a stubborn door that never closed properly. We laughed about it. We laughed about everything. There were nights we went to bed hungry, nights we argued about bills, nights when I felt like I was failing her because I couldn't give her more. But every time I apologized, she would touch my face and say, "Daniel, I didn't marry you for comfort. I married you for you." Those words carried me through years of struggle. When our daughter was born, I held her in my arms and felt fear like I had never known before. Not fear of the world, but fear of not being good enough for her. She wrapped her tiny fingers around mine, and in that moment, I made a promise. I would spend the rest of my life trying to keep. I would protect her from everything. But here is the truth no father wants to admit. You cannot protect your children from life. As she grew, so did the distance between us. Not because we didn't love each other, but because that is what growing does. It stretches you. It pulls you in different directions. I worked long hours, thinking sacrifice meant absence. I missed school events. I missed small moments that later felt enormous in my memory. One evening, she stood at the door with a suitcase in her hand. She had been accepted into a university far away. I smiled and told her how proud I was. I told her to chase every dream. But when the door closed behind her, I sat in the quiet house and realized something inside me had shifted. The house felt larger. The silence felt heavier. Years passed, and Eliza's laughter became softer. At first, I didn't notice. Or maybe I didn't want to. She grew tired more easily. She would pause in the middle of a sentence, as if searching for strength she used to have without trying. The day the doctor said the word cancer, I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. I remember nodding as if I understood everything. I remember asking practical questions. But inside, I was screaming. I wanted to fight the world itself. I wanted to demand more time. I wanted to bargain with fate. I watched the strongest person I had ever known grow fragile before my eyes. I learned how to cook properly because she no longer had the energy. I learned how to sit in hospital rooms and pretend I was not afraid. I learned that courage is not loud. It is quiet. It is holding someone's hand when you both know what is coming. One night, as I sat beside her hospital bed, she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Daniel, don't let my ending be the end of your living." I told her not to speak like that. I told her we still had time. But deep down, I knew we were counting days instead of years. The morning she left this world, I felt something tear inside me. Not a clean tear, but a violent one. I held her hand until it grew cold. I whispered every memory I could think of, as if words could anchor her here. After the funeral, people came and went. They brought food. They brought condolences. They said time would heal me. Time does not heal. It reshapes the pain. It teaches you how to carry it. I would wake up reaching for her side of the bed. I would turn to tell her something, and remember she was no longer there. Grief became my shadow. It followed me everywhere, but I remembered her words. Don't let my ending be the end of your living. So I tried. I visited my daughter more often. I told her stories about her mother. I apologized for the moments I missed. We cried together. We forgave each other. In that shared sorrow, we found a new kind of closeness. Now I stand before you as a man who has loved deeply and lost deeply. I have known joy that made my heart feel too small for my chest. I have known pain that made breathing feel like work. And if you ask me whether it was worth it, whether loving so fully was worth the risk of losing, I will tell you this: yes, because to love is to truly live. To open your heart, knowing it can be broken, is the bravest thing a human being can do. My name is Daniel. I am not just an old man with shaking hands and fading strength. I am a husband who loved a remarkable woman. I am a father who learned, sometimes too late, what truly matters. I am a man who has endured without losing his heart. If there is one thing I want you to carry with you after hearing my story, it is this: do not wait. Do not postpone your love. Do not assume there will always be another chance to say I'm proud of you, or I forgive you, or I need you. Life is fragile. Time is swift. And love is the only thing that remains when everything else is taken away. My name is Daniel, and this has been my life.
Wow, what a performance!
Incredible, so much talent. They owned the stage.
Absolutely brilliant.